I'm holding one of my favorite books in my hands. This is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. And of course, you understand that we are talking about Nike company. I think it's not easy to find a person who doesn't know this company. I have read this book 3 times in Russian, but I will tell you in English the main takeaways that I have made for myself. Before we move on to the main takeaways of this book, I will briefly talk about what this book is about in just 1 minute. Shoe Dog is a biography of Phil Knight. Phil Knight is a young, ambitious man who borrowed $50 from his father with the task of importing high-quality shoes from Japan. Selling these shoes from the trunk of his car in 1963, Knight made $8,000 in the company's first year. Today, the company's annual revenue is more than $40 billion. The book describes the process of creating a company and its difficult path with many failures, many challenges and obstacles. Therefore, if you are experiencing problem in your business, it will be useful for you to read this book in order to understand it's not only your business that has problems. So let's talk about my main takeaways after reading this book. Takeaway number 1. We need to do what we love. This is only way to find the energy and strength to move on. At the first glance, this is very ordinary advice, I know, and we hear it very often. But everything ingenious is simple. Let's ask ourselves the questions. Are we really doing the work that inspires us? What makes the advice even more valuable is that he gave this advice after years. Only later he realized that if he had been engaged in unloved business, he would never achieved such excellent result. Next takeaway. This tip goes hand in hand with tip number 1. So the takeaway number 2 is we need to be prepared to overcome enormous challenges in the business. The last time I read this book, I went through a long period of business difficulties, and I am also engaged in a commodity business. And at that time I had big problems with the quality of the goods. Because of this, I lost clients, reputations in the market, and lost a lot of money. And reading this book allowed me to look at my problem from a different angle. I saw that not only I have problems in business, everyone has problems. And the bigger your business is, the bigger problems you face. Phil Knight had a problem with the quality of the goods, because of which he almost went bankrupt. He repeatedly had problems with suppliers who not only let him down, but also sued him. He was also sued by the customs service for $25 million. As Knight said, rebels always have a target on their back, and the further you're ahead, the bigger this target. Takeaway number 3. This is my probably favorite takeaway. Phil Knight had a very interesting team with whom he developed the company. They called it Bad Faces. This team was of several people who the opposite of the standard understanding of the board of directors. The Bad Faces often traveled to a hotel, nature or any other place and discussed the development of the company. The team was more like Fight Club, the first rule of which was don't take insult at you seriously. Bad Faces laughed at each other, insulted each other, could hit each other, and all this with the framework of the friendly atmosphere. In this way, they discussed problems in the company, found non-standard solutions of their problems. To be honest, I even stole the name from them, and my business team and I also call ourselves Bad Faces. I always smile when I remember this story. This is the case when they managed to turn a complex routine and even unpleasant process in a more fun and informal pastime. These were three the most important conclusions that I made for myself after reading the book. And now I will briefly list a few more equally useful conclusions from the book. Cowards never started anything. The weak died along the way, but the strong remained. The strong are us. The man who removes a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to just pause this video and just write down those quotations and put it on the wall. The world is overloaded with wars, pain and suffering. The daily routine of working life is so tiring and unfair. The only answer is to find stunning, incredible dream that brings joy. Life is a game. My life must become a game. Don't tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. It's important to go to production factories on your own, see their conditions and communicate with management. Becoming a public company will turn us into something we couldn't stand, something we've spent our whole lives running from. It means working for someone else, reporting to someone else and things like that. The company must be managed by one person. The company must have a single, firm and final decision, always, no matter what happens. It's necessary to have wide social connections. Bankers, lawyers, accountants, advisors, industrials, consulting attorneys and others. Strive to solve problems not with your own knowledge, but with knowledge of other people. And the phrase that he said after many years, I'm sorry that I can't repeat everything again. Lord, how I wish I could relive everything that was. Think more about how you want to spend your time and with whom. Don't be satisfied with job, profession or career. Look for a calling. It will make easier to endure fatigue. Setbacks will warm you up and surge of energy will be such as you don't experience under other circumstances. I think it's a great point. Let's stop on it. I recommend this book.